Okay, we are starting Access today. So you've already logged into VirtualBox, and this is what the VirtualBox Windows 7 PC side looks at. To go ahead and open Access, go to the lower left-hand corner, click on the Start, and then you're going to go to All Programs, and you're going to look for Microsoft Office, and then you're going to go ahead and open up Microsoft Access 2010. You're going to wait for this to load, and what we're going to do in this tutorial is go ahead and go over the class exercise that we started last class. So this is the default screen that pops up for Access. If you get another box that pops up besides this, go ahead and click yes or okay. Go ahead and use recommended settings if that box pops up, and click OK as well. Now at any point during this video, if you need to pause, go ahead and do so. So right now we're going to go ahead and create a blank database. So go ahead and double click on the blank database. Now you'll notice that sometimes there'll be a little lag in what you're telling your program to do, and that's okay. So we're going to go on this Table 1 tab right here where my mouse is. We're going to right click and we're going to close. First thing we're going to do is we're going to save our database as. To do that, we go to File, Save Database As. Now, this looks a little bit different than anything that you've done before because we've been in the Mac side. Go ahead in this left pane here, we're going to scroll down, look underneath the computers category for the drive that has your name in it. We're going to go ahead and click that drive. If you have a Computers and Society folder, go ahead and click on that. And then what you're going to key in is patient details. Since I've already gotten a patient details that I've done in a previous class, I'm just going to call this patient details 2, and I'm going to click OK. If you have this security warning pop up for this yellow bar here, go ahead and enable that content and then click yes. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create our table. Now, anytime that you want to create anything, you have to go to the Create tab. Now we're going to choose Table Design, and you're going to see the design sheet view pop up. This is where we go to construct our table. We're not actually putting anything in our table yet, but we're just going to now put in and set up how we want our table to look. So underneath field name in that first area there, we are on step 2. We're going to put PT Med Rec number. So this is referring to patient medical record. And for the data type, we're going to specify what it is we're going to be putting in here. It's going to be text. And for the description, we're going to put in patient's medical record number. And we can go ahead and press tab, and we're going to enter in the remaining fields that are shown on your directions about in the middle of the page on the directions. Make sure you include the data type and the description, but in this case there is no description, so go ahead and key in the rest of that at this time. Okay, once you've entered everything in, notice for patient date, for the data type, it should be date and time. Now what we need to do is mark something as a primary key. What the primary key is a unique field to that table. So it's saying that no other record in our table will have that same identification number or whatever that is. In this case, it's going to be the patient med record. So what you're going to do is click to select that, and to click to select it, click in that gray area to the left of the patient med record, and then up on the design tab, you're going to press the primary key button. Now you're going to see that it places a yellow key to the left of the patient med record number. Now what we're going to do is we're going to File, Save Object As. So File, Save Object As, and in the dialog box that pops up, go ahead and key in patients, and this is going to be a table. So we've already saved our database because we've saved it as patient details. Now we have our first object, which is our table in our database, and it's called patients. Now, what we're going to want to do is go into data sheet view, which allows us to enter in records. To do that, go to the Home tab, click View. Now you can see our fields up here, and we can go ahead and enter in our first record. If you're looking at the bottom of page 1, you can see the first record there. This is for Sean Fuller. When you're entering in the phone number at this time, do not put in any dashes or hyphens. We'll deal with that at a later point. Okay, you can see that we've entered in our first record, and now we're on page 2, and we're going to start with rearranging fields. Now, if we want to rearrange fields, make sure that you are on the Home tab, and we need to go into Design View, because Design View is where we can go in and edit how our table is going to look. And what we want to do is we want to move the patient birth date above the patient primary phone number. So how you do that is to select patient birth date, click to that gray area to the left, and then I'm going to click and drag that up. And you're going to notice that birth date is now above the prime phone number. Now let's go back into data sheet view, and it always is going to prompt you to save, so always click yes, and you can see the changes that have been made there. Now we're going to go in and enter our second record for Jacob Smith. Go ahead and make sure to start with the primary key field of the identification record. And this is for Jacob Smith. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add another field. So instead of doing this in data sheet view, we need to go back to design view. So do that now. And we're going to create a patient gender text field above the birth date. So I already have the birth date selected. So if you don't have that selected, go ahead and do so now. Make sure you're on the Design tab, and all you need to do is insert a row, and it's going to insert that row for us directly above the patient birth date. And we're going to go ahead and put in patient gender. And this is also going to be a text field. Now let's go back into data sheet view, first save, and then for patient gender, go ahead and type male in for both of our records. Now we are going to go ahead and insert a third record for Jennifer Walton, and when you go ahead to put in for her gender, just put an F this time. So we're going to put in her patient medical record. And an F, and for her birth date, I'm going to go ahead and type out March 3rd, 1983, and when I press tab, notice how it formats the date for us. Now with the phone number this time, go ahead and put hyphens in, and this will make more sense in just a little bit. Okay. Now what we're going to do is modify some field properties and change some field size. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go back into design view, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to select our patient gender, and then we're going to go down to field properties. So be looking where my mouse is, that's field properties, and then we have field size. Right now it says 255, meaning 255 characters. We want to go ahead and change that to 1. Now we're going to go and we're going to go to File, we're going to select Save, and it's saying that some data might be lost. That's okay, click Yes, and then go back into Data Sheet View, and notice now instead of saying male, it just has an M because we told it that we only needed 1 character in that field. Now what we're going to do is modify some field properties and format the date. So let's go back into Design View. And let's select patient birth date, and then down to field properties, go to format. And then all the way over to the right, you're going to see that list arrow. Go ahead and select that, and we're going to specify how we want the date to look. We want the date to be the medium date, so it has the day, the month, and then the year. So go ahead and select that, and let's go back into data sheet view. Click yes to save, and notice now that we formatted the date differently. We're on the bottom of page 3, and we're going to go ahead and modify the field properties, and we're going to input a mask. And what this is going to do, it's going to help us format our phone number. So let's go back into design view. We're going to select the patient's primary phone number, and we're going to go down to the field properties, and do you see where it says input mask? And if you click there and you go all the way over to the right, you're going to see the button builder. It has 3 little dots in there. You're going to go ahead and click that, and then the input mask wizard pops up. And you should see that phone number is already selected there. So go ahead and click finish. And you'll see what it puts in the input mask there. We're going to go ahead and turn to page 4. And to see our results, we're going to go back into data sheet view, and of course we're going to save. And now notice that 2 of our records, the numbers have the parentheses around the area code and then a dash. Now with Jennifer's, let's go ahead and remove those hyphens and press enter, and you should now notice that her number has been updated. And so now we are still on page 4. We're going to enter a new record and sort. So we're going to enter a record in for Doris. Okay, so now that we have our new record entered in, watch what we can do. We're going to go ahead and right click on the tab and click close. Then go ahead back to your table objects and double click on patients, and notice, bam, without even saving, it's right there. So now we can also sort easier with our tables. So if you click on the patient medical record field, you see that list arrow, you can see where you can sort. If you select sort, and then we can select ascending or descending, and notice it then sorts for us. Now what we're going to do is because we can only record 15 minutes at a time, I'm going to stop this recording, and you're going to go to creating a query, which is the next step, but it'll just be in a different video. Okay, so end this, save, and then go and open that other video, and you can be able to finish this exercise.